In this photo, there's a very stark comparison between the foreground of the old, rotting, dilapidated pier and the background of the part of the New York skyline. The foreground is dead, primitive as far as wood and sand, and the background is new, it's thriving, it's made of metal and glass. So it's part of the dichotomy and development of New York City, of how some of the relics of New York City and some of the rituals and ancient and relatively ancient practices in New York City exist along the headlong advancement of that is the spirit of New York City.
This is an interesting photo because it shows the unique life of New York City and different perspectives that you can have of such a thriving atmosphere. In the foreground of the shot is the statue of Columbus from Columbus Circle in the fountain, and you also see a reflection in the glass of a store or the venue where this photo was taken, showing a reflection of all of the different activities and interests that happen in New York.
Well, I find this photo interesting because unlike the other pictures, this photo focuses on the separation that exists within New York City rather than the buildings or the cars or the daily activities as shown in other pictures.
I like this photo because the background is very interesting. As the sun sets, it creates an almost rainbow-like background. And the sign on the subway is the station that I get off at home. So it creates a kind of home feeling for me.
Over here we have a foreground of some artwork and some statues in a fountain, and the background of an apartment building. The significant symbolism of that might be the foreground. The art is a very individualistic. In fact, art might be expressed as the ultimate individualism. The background, the apartment complex, is widely seen as as being just conformity, just stacked in just storage for citizens that feed the city.
Well, this picture is interesting because it gives a complete picture of all the neighborhoods of New York blended together, not one separate from each other, but all together, giving us a complete picture.
This photo centers around this sign, which is rather motionless, but in the background we see people as they walk through the streets, and stores filled with people for their businesses thriving.
The interesting thing about this picture is that the foreground of a slide, obviously a children's slide, going into a pool, is a background of memories and interest from childhood. If you look at this picture, you can see a child on the slide taking its first glances over the wall into the outside world.
Here we have the center-off-center comparison, where the center is a massive sheet of asphalt that is the road, and the off-center is these trees, these cars, and houses. The center is utilitarian, unnatural. It's not artistic in any way, really. It just does what it does, and that's all significance, really. It's just a road. The outside, the off-center, are these trees, which, as can be seen over here, are just starting to go into autumn and start changing color, which is the beauty, and well, you have the beauty of nature on this off-center, and you have the homes and the emotional significance of these presumably yards and houses and places where people live, as opposed to the center, which is places where people just is transition. And this is also against the background of skyscrapers, office buildings. So we see a bit of how the city tends to be utilitarian, functional, emotionless, while with little niches of life and emotion. Here we have a picture of the first tower of the Verrazano Bridge, with Staten Island in the foreground, and right below the tower, Battery Fort, I think. And in the background we have Queens. So the fort is a symbol of war, fear. The bridge is a symbol of connection, and in this case, a more constructive conquering of obstacles that the New York City is built on islands to a large degree. So the bridges are what are the connections and systems of the city, and also it'll connect Staten Island, and Manhattan, and Brooklyn. Connect Staten Island and Brooklyn, which are very different areas, very different cultures, and what does that? That's the power of these bridges.